Heavy Cardboard, episode 36, Neue Heimat. Coming to you on BGG Con E from Matt's Coffee Shop. Welcome to Heavy Cardboard, where we talk medium and heavy strategy board games, war games, 18xx, and other related topics in the board gaming hobby. We're your hosts. I'm Edward.
I'm Tony. Let's get rolling.
All right, yeah, I'm excited about tonight's show, man.
I really kind of am too, man.
Cool.
Let's remind everybody how to contact us.
All right, on Twitter, at Heavy Cardboard, and if you're not following us on Twitter right now, now would be a good time for the simple fact that I'm going to be just inundating y'all with pics and tweets and stuff like that from BGG Con. So, at Heavy Cardboard there, Facebook, Heavy Cardboard. Email. We love getting emails. In fact, we just got a couple today that were really cool to hear from listeners. Contact at heavycardboard.com. The website, heavycardboard.com. A couple more. Our BGG Guild, number 2044. I think we hit 540 guildies today, fellow elephants. So that was awesome to see. A lot of really good discussion around what people have been playing, what they're anticipating, suggestions from one another and everything. So come and get involved. Again, that's BGG Guild number 2044. Last but not least, I completely dropped the ball last episode on iTunes reviews. So sincere apology to all those that left reviews. So here's some props to you guys. Big thanks. This episode goes to Tiger13 Girl, FIFO Mutex, and I'm going to butcher this one, but Kierkegaard 555 and Game Templar. Thanks a lot, y'all. And for everyone else, keep the reviews coming. I long to be on the front page of the podcast, quote-unquote, other games page on iTunes. I think that would be really, really cool. Hey, you got to have dreams, right?
Absolutely.
All right, cool.
We want to thank the great people at Game Surplus for their sponsorship of our little show. They are wonderful people, and they have a great inventory of games, including a lot of imports and hard-to-find games. They're the home of great games at great prices, so check them out at www.gamesurplus.com. Tell them Heavy Cardboard sent you.
And this episode was partially inspired by what they are doing, well, honestly, for our listeners. So we'll hit on this more later, but yeah, big thanks for Velma and Amos going the extra mile in hopefully hooking y'all up. So we'll touch on that in a bit. Now, contest time.
Yes.
We last episode, we had a contest offer for those listeners.
A little scavenger huntage.
Yeah, something a little bit different, and it definitely showed in the number of respondents. We didn't have as many as normal, but we still had a fair amount. So thanks to all that entered, that emailed, and went through the answer in the question.
Right
so
on.
that hopefully y'all had fun with it. But anyway, congrats to Martin Underwood for not only getting all the answers right, but also for being the lucky one that random.org chose. Contact us and we'll get your info over to the great folks at Cardboard Congregation. And thanks again to them for helping us with another giveaway.
All right, before we start the show, we have a little habit of talking about just various things going on in our lives and stuff. So what's cooking with you?
Well, first off, Extra Life, I would say, was a pretty big success.
Yeah, I guess that's what's cooking with us.
Yeah, right. We raised $343.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks to everybody that chipped in for that. That was really cool.
It was a lot of fun.
And our team raised almost $5,000 total for everybody up there at the Haunted Game Cafe in Fort Collins.
Really nice shop.
Yeah.
Really nice shop. And really cool guy running it.
If that were local to us and not an hour away, it would absolutely be our FLGS.
They are an FLGS.
Right, as opposed to our LGS that we have here in town.
We had fun. We made some new friends. We rekindled with some old ones, etc.
Yeah, it was really good time. And
played a good raft of games, too.
As good as the games were, I got to say, Young's Cafe in Fort Collins, Colorado. Dude, that lemongrass chicken noodle soup and the clay pot pork are spectacular. You wouldn't think Vietnamese restaurant in Fort Collins would be all that hot, but oh my. And it's like 100 feet from the Haunted Game Cafe. Yeah. So if you're ever in town there, go check them out and seriously go eat there. It's absolutely wonderful.
You betcha.
So, talking about some of the games we played there, I kind of wanted to bring up one in particular.
Yeah, most definitely.
So, the last game that we played that night, we didn't do 24 hours. We're older, and so we did like 16, 17 hours,
Something
whatever.
like that, yeah.
And the last one we played was a 5-player game of Food Chain Magnate with you, me, Matt, or Bringu is his name,
Bringu.
and Lenny and another
Matt.
Mark, or another Matt.
It was another Matt.
And we had a blast. We taught a couple of the new people. We were having a good time. You and I had no chance in the game. We did not play really well.
I was tired, too.
Oh, for me, it's just I was focused on teaching and everything. But
I was really, really, really tired.
Until.
And this woke me up. The drive home was easy.
So if there was ever a good example, you hear about people spilling drinks and doing all that on games.
Never seen it before.
Never have. But I can't say that anymore because our buddy Matt Bringu had a gallon-sized cup of coffee.
It was a big cup.
on the table. And he was so excited. He was into the game. He was doing really well. He was just jacked up. And boom, knocked over his coffee all over all the
cards.
All the employee cards. That was a perfect example of why we sleeve cards. So
and have capped drinks at the table.
Yeah, that's why we never have that here at the house. But anyway, I went from immediately being pissed off. I mean, I'm human.
Right, that's the first reaction. When you see coffee on like a $130 game, you're like...
Yeah. To immediately going to, I genuinely felt bad for Matt.
Yeah.
Because the dude was just mortified.
He was.
Not only was he just, oh my God, I can't believe I did this, but we were on the center table of all the tables in the shop, so everybody saw it. And it's not something you really want to have everyone notice that you did. And so he panicked and started taking all the cards that were covered in coffee, throwing them on cards and everything else that didn't have any coffee on it. Just from he was like,
God.
"Oh, I gotta
clear these out of the coffee."
Long story short, made for a hell of a funny story. And congratulations, Matt. You're now the owner of one copy of Food Chain Magnate.
With a little bit of coffee on it.
Right. He said only 3 of the cards really had any real damage to them, which that's fine. And the good news, all ends well. He has another copy coming, which I guess is going to be mine.
Sure.
But the coolest thing to come out of
we're not letting him off the hook, though.
Is, and you did an amazing job with this.
Well, on the way back, we were talking about making a custom restaurant for Matt.
Right. And so
to commemorate this event.
Because it will live on in infamy. You made a custom restaurant, the 3 tiles and the 1 turn order one of Bringu's Coffee Shop.
Yep.
It's awesome. And so now that is mandatory to be played with in every game.
So he's got his copy.
Yes.
And we have our copies of those tiles.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool.
If you want a copy of Bringu's Coffee Shop, let us know. We'll send you the files.
Right. So yeah, anyway, so that ended Extra Life on a well, let's just say the hour-long drive in the middle of the night wasn't so hard. Let's see what else. We signed the contract for HeavyCon this week with the hotel, which means the first wave of invites should, in theory, go out next week.
Yep.
So
after BGG-Con, Flotsam and Jetsam gets run off last Friday in Paris, really kind of pissed me off a lot. I felt it, and I just want to say terrorism is cowardice. Fuck you, ISIS. Je suis Paris.
Yeah, they're animals, just absolute animals. There's no redeeming qualities about them whatsoever, and the faster they're off the face of the earth, the better.
Indeed. Staying serious, maybe for a second.
Sure.
Our friend Dave, we call him Banker Dave on the show or whatever,
yep.
But Dave, you'll hear this episode when you recover from your surgery, man. We are wishing you a speedy recovery and many more years of gaming.
We're thinking about you and hope all goes well. Because the only type of surgery that's minor is when it's not happening to you. Yeah. So, so Godspeed.
His name is minor, but the surgery isn't.
All right, so
what else?
On the later stuff. BGG-Con starts tomorrow, or in theory tomorrow, or when you guys are hearing this, it's Thursday, so it's currently going on when this releases. I'm still legitimately bummed that you're not coming, dude. I really am.
I am too. And, it sucks.
Yeah, I feel guilty, like, talking about it. I mean, I feel like I need to, but at the same time, I feel like I'm twisting a knife. But understand that it's not on purpose.
You are, but no, I'm kidding. It's all right.
So speaking of BGG Con and everything, we have a blizzard coming in tonight, and they're talking 8 to 14 inches of snow overnight tonight. And my plane, mine and Amanda's plane, is supposed to leave about 11:30 tomorrow morning. We hope. With the blizzard and everything, should be exciting. Speaking of BGG Con, we had 30 shirts made, and to be honest with you, I think they turned out pretty great. They're tri-blend shirts and a cool design.
Super high-quality shirt.
Yeah. It's, well, I got it strictly from a selfish standpoint because I want comfortable shirts to wear.
Well, yeah, you know, one shirt that's going to last, too.
Exactly. And so we splurged a little, went a little bit more within the expensive shirts. And our buddy Mo helped design it and did an awesome job. Yep. So we're going to have them for sale at BGG Con. And after I get back, we'll have them for sale, what's left over on the site. And all proceeds go to, well, us.
Heavy Cardboard.
Yeah, and helping the site.
Right.
And just helping the show in general.
Right. We need to switch hosting. We need a second microphone.
We need a mixing board, all this stuff. So, yeah, that would go a long way. Yeah. So, if you're interested, yeah, that'll be cool. The last thing is the Heavy Cardboard Gathering. I keep harping on this, but I want to make sure that you guys are fully aware of it. Thursday night, so the night...
At BGG-Con.
Right. The day this releases, Thursday night, 8 p.m. to midnight in room 1113. We got a pretty diverse group of companies coming out and helping us with giveaways. Artana, The Broken Token, Golden Egg Games, Nightwork Games, Level 99 Games, Mayday Games, Meeple Source, and Stronghold Games have all chipped in for giveaways, so big thanks to them. There may be others, but those are the ones that have committed already.
Right.
And it just bodes well for a great gathering. Also, I'm pretty excited that I know there are a number of designers, publishers, and developers that are planning on stopping by to hang out and to game, because it's 4 hours, and I know most of them plan on coming for at least a few of those hours. And I got to be honest, I'm really stoked. The Splatter guys are going to be there as well. And actually, Jeroen had scheduled, he wants to play the Heavy Cardboard map for Age of Steam.
Nice.
And I was like, awesome, I'll go and get my ass kicked.
Yep.
Cool, rock on.
I don't know what would be cooler, getting your ass kicked at Food Chain Magnate by him.
The thing is with that is I would feel bad making him play that. Dude's got to be sick of the game. So that's why, in anything but Splatter.
But it'll be over quick. That's what I figured anyway.
So anyway, make sure you come by. Thursday night, the night this releases at BGG-Con, 8 p.m. to midnight local time, room 1113, 1113.
I know that you're going to be acquiring some games at BGG-Con.
Oh, my God.
But in the past 2 weeks, what have you acquired?
Well, the Deluvia Project and Haithabu have come in from Spielworks, so thank you, Uli. Looking forward to getting more plays of those, or a play, at least, of Haithabu. Because we've played Deluvia Project. Right. I have not played Haithabu. A gift from Santa Grogs. In my prep here, I was going to say, going to see if I can wait to open it, and I was told by Amanda, no, you're going to open it tonight. So thank you, Santa Grogs, because
Splendor.
or No Peace Without Spain. So it's really high on my want list, and yeah. So thanks, Santa Grogs. Cool thing about that is, dude said I can expect something from his home area, in January or February, and then something else in like July or August. Talk about extending the holiday. That's awesome. I can't wait. So. Yeah, that's cool. And, I expect next episode that this segment's going to be about 30 minutes long from the amount of stuff that I plan on acquiring at BGG-Con. It's a sickness. It's disgusting.
Right on.
All right, how about you, Mo?
Just a few things. Lignum and the Gallerist came in.
Oh, Lignum, huh?
Yeah, more on that. Paul Myra and Patch History came from my Heavy Cardboard Secret Santa, so thank you very, very much. Those have been on my want list, and they are now not on my want list.
Rock on.
Britannia came in, and I got some new promo buildings for Alhambra for the wifey.
Which I saw you beat her at yesterday for the first time. Rock on, congrats.
You know what the weird thing was when we were playing? So there's like these 9 new buildings in the bag. I swear to God, the first draw, she pulled like 3 of them out. I'm like, wait a minute here. What? they were like wanting to jump out of the bag or something. It was bizarre.
All right.
Bizarre. So let's see. What games are you hunting for or maybe anticipating?
Just everything I'm getting from BGG Con, to be honest. There's just, probably the biggest just to be able to bask in the awesomeness that it is. That's Mega Civ. I just want to see how ridiculous and over the top this thing is. I'm looking forward to getting my copy. There's a lot. PAX Premier, the collector's edition of PAX Porfiriana. The box looks gorgeous. Can't wait to check that out. And there's probably about 20 games, so I'm not going to. Yeah, we'll hit on that next episode. How about you?
Well, several things. I am eagerly anticipating Neil's package from Germany. I was really hoping that DHL would get it here before you left for BGGCon, because in there is a copy for you of Plymouth Flauman.
I would like to,
and Oh My Goods.
Yeah, to bring those, but I'm sure somebody there from our listeners and everything, when we get together, they'll have copies. So I appreciate the thought. But
yeah,
and it wasn't in the cards.
Orleans, The Invasion is en route. I was really hoping that would be here tonight, too.
My copy of Orléans, of Orleans, the deluxe edition.
Yes.
It shipped, and it's currently, I think, in Ohio. So you'll be in charge of taking care of that.
Sweeping that off of your porch.
Yes.
Nippon, looking forward to that.
Of
Veronica
course.
gave us an update. She said they expect their stock in a week or so.
So maybe 2-3 weeks,
right?
4 weeks, somewhere in there, we'll get our copies.
And much to Edward's surprise, I'm going to acquire, for us, my friend, a copy of U.S. Civil War.
Woohoo!
All right.
I'm excited about that. I'm glad. Scott brought a copy to Extra Life so we could check it out. The map looked gorgeous.
Oh my God.
All it did was amp up my want to play on that really high. So
yeah, and that
very cool.
That helped me want to get into it too. I'm such a Civil War buff, and when I started seeing like the names on the map and everything, I'm like, hell.
So thanks, Scott, for the help. I appreciate it.
Yeah, really.
It worked.
So we've been playing a few games here. Just right off the top here, let's talk Neue Heimat, Macao, and ships. Yes, we've been playing those things, but yes, we're going to talk more about all of those games soon.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about other games then. All right, Lignum. We played dueling games of Lignum on Saturday.
Yeah, ask me how many copies of those were mine.
Well, how many copies of those were yours?
0.
Yeah, we had 2.
Yeah.
Thank you, Phil.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. You have your copy. Phil let us borrow ours, or his. But I'm really upset at the poor job that Spiel Offensive and Happy Shops, the distributor, regarding the game Lignum. It appears that they're working on fixing their production issues. They just posted something on the crowdfunding update thing, because it was crowdfunded
the German
in German.
One? Yeah. Spiele Schmiede.
So I ordered 2 copies back in March, and everybody else in America, it seems, just about. I know Nate and there's a couple others that haven't. But it seems like the majority have. But a couple of us fell through the cracks, and they did nothing to communicate this to us.
Sure.
Had we not contacted them, we'd never know. We wouldn't have a clue. It's frustrating to not have good communication. And on that note, why is it so hard for companies to comprehend that if you just communicate with your customers, your backers, whatever, they will be so much more understanding and patient than if you just stick your head in the sand and ignore them. It doesn't make sense. It's a simple-ass concept that seems to elude so many companies.
You just man up.
Seriously. Hey, look, we've had production issues. There's going to be delays. I apologize, but I wanted to keep you in the loop. Okay.
It's just a game. We're not saving lives here, but communication is wonderful.
That's all I'm saying. So anyway, back to Lignum.
So what did you think of it? We played the advanced game. I really do want to play the expert game.
Right.
With the planned actions.
There are the 3 levels of game. There's the basic or introductory.
Don't bother.
Whatever. The advanced game we played, I really enjoyed it. Everybody at our table, it was me, Amanda, and Paul Chad.
Right.
All played it, and we all really enjoyed it. Curious to see what the expert game then gives, adds to it that didn't, but I'm not saying it's special or anything like that off this initial play, but there's enough there that I'm anxious and looking forward to future plays. And then we'll determine from there how good it is. It's not going to be bad for me, It's
Okay.
just a matter of how much do I like it. I don't know yet.
Right. And it's hard to tell after one.
Sure.
I mean, I didn't love it. I definitely liked it. There were things, parts of the game were challenging. I really enjoyed how different workers and tools combined together to do things. I thought that was pretty smart, but I really felt like it was pretty tactical. Decisions were kind of obvious for me. So I definitely want some more plays with the expert game and see where that goes from there.
Cool. For me, it didn't feel like so many obvious decisions for me in our game. So hopefully that was just maybe a first play type thing that could have been. But anyway, so that's Lignum.
So Britannia. I have the game. I brought the game. I taught the game. I didn't get to play the game. So I got a little bit of feedback from you. I'm really curious to hear what you thought about the game. You and Paul Chad and Sweater Mike.
Yeah, all played that, and I enjoyed it. I would say that just off, again, initial play impression is all this is. But in Britannia, my excitement level was a step or two below Lignum.
Mm-hmm.
As far as actually how it left me feeling throughout the game. It felt like it just kind of got a little samey, kind of rinse and repeat, and it didn't advance. It didn't ramp up.
That's what Paul Chad said. After 2 rounds, he was like, this is really cool. And after 5 rounds, he's like, wow, that was really repetitive.
Exactly. And so I want to play it again.
I wanted to get a 4-player game in.
Absolutely.
It sounds like it's on the auction shelf.
No. I'm not saying that necessarily. Just an initial play. That's how it felt.
Yeah.
Cool theme.
The artwork
and the artwork was nice. And I enjoyed it, but it absolutely will not be a special game. It's just whether or not, since you have it, do you keep it or not? That's up in the air. That's kind of where it's going to land. And that's Britannia.
The Gallerist. It was one that I wanted you to play too, but that was when you were playing Britannia. We'll sync up on all this stuff too. But I had a 4-player game of it.
Holy cow! That is a huge box.
Oh my god!
And it's gorgeous.
Oh yeah,
I'm going to say
O'Toole, nice work, buddy.
This and P. Mal Flauman are my initial thoughts of when I think best artwork in games. It's going to come down to those two so far. So absolutely stunning production.
So we play with 4.
Okay.
And at first, man, the constant bumping of workers and assistants just really ground the game to a snail's pace. Am I saying this? I'm actually saying this faster than I'd like to say it. And frankly, it was really pissing me off.
Okay.
Now, a lot of it could have been, hey, we were learning the game. I also had work in my ear with servers rebooting and miscellaneous distractions like that.
You had your grandson
was here. And later in the game, things really settled out, and I really began to enjoy it.
Okay, all right.
So I really don't know what to think there. I want to play it again. 2 of the players that played the game have no interest in playing it again. Me and one other player do have interest in playing it again. So I thought that was kind of interesting.
Okay. I obviously am anticipating my play because, it was that was the one that I omitted from my anticipation list, but I accidentally. But I'm looking forward to getting it played with.
Yeah. Well, I omitted it on purpose.
Okay.
On my list, but so for me, it was really an impulse buy.
Okay.
And showed up,
because you didn't back it.
I didn't back it. This was an impulse buy, just based on I was like, it's freaking Vital Lacerda. I must try the game.
Absolutely, given the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely. So anyway.
Cool.
The Gallerist. So, of course, we played FCM. We talked about that with Matt, So maybe we retheme it and do like a Starbucks version. We can do coffee, tea, bottled water, donuts, and sandwiches. Okay.
You've given this thought.
Yes. So anyway.
Hold on. On that note, I don't know if you saw, but yesterday, Matt got on this.
Yeah.
On this.
That was today.
No, it was last night. He carried it over.
Oh, okay.
But he got on this pimping kick for Food Chain Magnate, and he found some dollhouse miniatures that were Coke bottles,
Heineken
pizzas,
cans.
Yeah, Heineken cans.
The hamburgers look amazing.
Don't get me wrong. The components on Food Chain Magnate,
I'm sticking with the meeples.
But dude, that's a quality pimp.
Yeah.
That's a really, really cool. So
totally.
I'm anxious to see that when I get him his copy back. I should mention that Matt was gracious enough to lend me his new copy, which is my old copy, so I can take it to BGG Con so I can get it played as well.
Officially the con copy.
Yes.
Alhambra, played that with the wife. It's one of her favorites.
I've never played that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a total random fest, but it's got a really, really cool spatial element and everything. And I enjoy
Which
playing
means I'm going to be terrible at it. Okay.
Somehow she conquers the randomness, but anyway, beat her by 2 points, so I'm pretty impressed, dude.
Fist bump.
So next time, it's strip Alhambra.
Two-player.
So
I don't want to be involved in that.
No,
Good.
Definitely
All right,
not.
cool.
We won't Periscope it either. So the wife is a good soldier, so I got a 2-player Haitabu in to learn that game. It's essentially an abstract pick up and deliver.
Okay. You guys know, listening, that especially me, less so you, but especially me, I am a huge Spielworks fan.
Yes, you are.
That said, the next positive thing I hear about this game is going to be the first, and that's a bummer. I'm still excited to play it. I'm excited to try it, and I know the Viking theme is a huge, huge thing for you.
Sure.
But I've heard that some of the randomness is just a game breaker for a lot of people.
I would say that I'm publisher agnostic, but I'm a huge Uli fan as a person. It's a pretty game. I really like the way it looks on the table, but my initial impressions is heavy cardboard perspective. Not really gonna make it. The random stuff is really what killed me. So my wife was a good soldier, so here's what we did. We played part of the game using the actual event rules, and they were terrible. It's die rolling.
Okay.
For, hey, if I rolled a 5, I lost my wagon, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
And then I actually, before we played, I made up 2 variants. And
just tried to brainstorm.
Right there. And so we played part of the game with the original, part of the game with variant 1, and part of the game variant 2. Variant 1 was I made up a different die roll chart where nothing happens to the other players.
It's only whether something happens to you yourself. Okay.
And it's just money.
Okay.
And there's a lot of money flowing in and out of the game. But the variant I really liked was there's 4 spaces in the dark half of the wheel. So the first space cost 20, then the next one 30, then 30, then 40. So you can actually make a conscious decision. Because what we found was rolling the dice and looking up it was adding time to the game for absolutely no value.
Okay.
So with this, you can actually make a business decision. And it gave us if I just wait for this action 1 phase, it's going to be free.
Oh.
Some decisions like that. Or I need to take this now because next phase, this decision is going to cost me money.
I don't have a ton of reference to be able to, points of reference to be able to make heads or tails of that. But I definitely want to play one game.
Absolutely. We shall. When you return, we shall.
And then if I'm like the majority of people out there that I've heard talking about it feel the same, then absolutely, let's give it a try because I want to. You're talking about variants, and actually, our featured game is going to entail many variants as well.
Yes, it shall.
So I'm not opposed to doing that if it improves, our gameplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I'm interested in the variants just because. Thematically and with the 6 markets, man, I really want this game to work out.
Okay, cool.
So Haitabu. And then we played a game of the Aufsteiger, or the Climbers.
Yeah,
and that almost had an accident too, did it not?
That had a drink from a different person. Anna, I believe it was Anno's husband.
Yes, it was.
Who I think it missed it by 1/8 of an inch from spilling all over my block pieces, but still.
Always fun game, attracts new folks.
Top 20 game for me. And I'm not an abstract guy. And I just love the Climbers. So gotta play that in. That was great.
The last game on my list that I know you and I played together was Patchwork. That was your first Patchwork
I finally got to play it in. Oh my God, I really enjoyed it. And oh my God, I think I finished in negative.
Yeah, maybe. No, you didn't do that bad.
I really, really enjoyed that game. And you have this big bowl of buttons at your work.
Yeah.
I saw that and we both were like, dude, you got to pimp out Patchwork
Currency.
with this. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
I think that's got it all. Did I miss anything? Oh, yes, I did.
Yeah, I have a few. My buddy Mark Johnson from Board Games to Go, he flew up from California, as he is wont to do just about every week. And he came over and we got in a couple of...
can't blame him. Well, California.
Well,
Denver. Come on.
What he does for a living is pretty cool.
Oh, yeah. What is it?
He works for JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, i.e. NASA.
Yeah.
And they have a mission to Mars that launches in March.
Cool.
And so they're building the actual thing here in Denver. And so, and yet he works out in California, so he makes trips all the time. Anyway,
right on.
We played his first game of German Railways, which was really, really enjoyable. And he's like, I'm going to have to pick and choose who I have play this game with me. Yeah. For the simple fact that even though people might be winning the game, if they don't get a turn, some people might get butthurt over that.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those. And that reminds me, I acquired a copy of that at Extra Life. I did on the charity bid and won that one.
Right. Yeah. Rock on. So that was a lot of fun. We also played a couple times. I did in the last week the SNCF Moon Map.
We just played that on Saturday as well. Yeah, with we had a new guy joining our group on Saturday.
We did, and that was cool.
And he never played it before. So
right. The Moon Map is definitely a lot of fun for SNCF or Paris Connection.
It was a DJ Con.
Yep. Yes. Also, you forgot we got in a 2-player game to start off Extra Life of Arboretum.
Oh, yeah, man.
And you smoked me in that, as you are wont to do. And next time I win that, will be the first.
I'm pretty good at that one, but
yeah,
I don't know why.
That's pretty much it. And to be honest with you, it's been pretty crazy here with BGG Con prep and getting the heavy con stuff worked out and just life getting in the way.
Yeah.
But I'm sure I'm going to play a lot of games over the course of the next 5 days, 6 days or so. So should be good to make that up.
We're having BGG Can at my house Saturday,
which is awesome. I think that's cool that you guys are doing.
We're going to play 18XX.
Rock on.
All right. All right, it is time to talk about the new Martin Wallace game, Ships.
So as you said, Ships is Martin Wallace. Tree Frog is the publisher, his own, next to last production. 2015 release, plays 2 to 4 players, and plays in about 2 hours. So what's going on in Ships? Well, Ships is going to instantly make folks think automobile when they see it due to the ship progression track around the edge of the board. Outside of that, though, really, that's where the similarities to automobile ends.
No other resemblance.
In a nutshell, this is a near-zero randomness race game where players take sequential turns taking one or more actions by spending their colored action cubes and or one-time use black action cubes. By choosing one of the available 8 actions, some of which are building ships, upgrading ships, selecting one of the one-time use special power cards, or taking a couple of navigation tokens, etc., players will advance the technology of their ships. This will potentially make older ships obsolete and cost any player that has ships an age or 2 ages old points. As players build ships, this allows them the ability to claim cities or place out merchants on the board, which gives players benefit or resources or other benefits, and will score that player points when the age is scored. Ages are scored when players advance into the next age by spending navigation tokens that they've acquired. In the end, as I said, it's a race game, so that when 5 or more ships are built between all the players in the 11th and final age, this triggers the final round of the game. When that happens, players will be racing to place cities and merchants in the final region on the board, which will score by far the largest amounts of points in the game. Once the final round is complete, the final region is scored, and whomever has the most points wins.
Really? Most points?
Yeah, it's shocking. I know, right? So, some stuff that we dig about the game. First off, I think it's really, really attractive.
Oh, BEA, beautiful.
And I'm saying not just the limited edition with the wooden ships, which do add to it. Don't get me wrong. Just I'm talking the colors, just the way board. It's just beautiful. It's really well done. So props to Martin and the design team in that aspect.
Yeah. Do you think this game is heavier or lighter than Automobile?
You know, I struggle with this because of the fact that some of the stuff that I've read recently, which I'm going to get into at the end, I don't know the answer to that right now. I don't feel like I've played it enough to be able to give a really solid answer on that. How about you? Do you?
I feel like it's lighter.
Okay.
I don't think it's.
Even with less randomness than Automobile.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Absolutely. I really like this thing. I call it the cube ledger. Your player board has here's a little section of these are the cubes I own, and here's a little section of these are the cubes I can use right now. And there's a section of here are the actions I can take and move cubes to them, and you can have the cities, the little discs that come off to expand your warehouse or your bank. That's like the ledger, I call it. But
I could see that.
I really think that's cool because everything is right there, and you can manage your player board pretty effectively and everything. And plus the actual spending of the cubes on actions and having the black cubes you mentioned, I really think that part's pretty neat.
I also enjoy it, but not as much as somebody like Amanda does, who she has her own tableau and she can kind of get in her own little world and really plan her stuff out while at the same time watching what the other people are doing, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, I definitely can see that. I like the progression of the ships, and I'm not talking just, ooh, that's cool, we're moving into Viking ships now,
right.
But just the actual mechanic of how the progression works and the rusting, if you will, of the older ships or the obsolescence of the older ships and how that really pushes the game and forces players to either upgrade or remove their ships before it starts costing them points. I dig that.
Yeah, I think that that lends a bit of a timing and the race element to the game as well. Just because, pushing that technology track is something that you can do, and I think that adds a little bit of racing to it, and I don't really like that.
I'm not a big fan of race games. Like the one that comes to mind whenever I hear race game is Manhattan Project, worker placement,
Never played it.
Race game. That I'm just not too keen on those as a general rule. And yeah, I agree that maybe not my favorite aspect of the game.
In my last game, the one we played at Extra Life, my entire strategy I went into that game was never to have more than 2 ships on the board at any one time. And for about 80% of the game, I ever had 1 ship on the board at any one time. Because my point was, I'm not going to get caught losing negative points. And I'm going to spend every navigation possible, every navigation token I can gather possible on pushing the technology, and end the game before anybody gets to Area 7.
And you did a good job of that. You definitely forced the game. It moved considerably faster than our first game did.
It did. I not by a lot, but I won the game, and I feel like I didn't really even play the ships part, and that kind of bugs me.
But at the same time, that kind of leads into the whole, it appears that there are multiple viable strategies in the game, kind of like what you were doing, as well as, just the planning on the long game, so to speak.
But if someone's pushing it,
I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
I don't have enough experience to be able to say, is there a way to counter that?
I don't feel like there is.
Okay.
You can't interfere with someone getting NAF tokens. But anyway.
So it's tactical in a sense that players provide opportunities in which you are, it gives you the chance to capitalize on them. But you have to have the resources and everything available to you at your disposal that you've accumulated already to capitalize. So it's not strictly tactical as it might seem at first. Because I read one guy's pseudo session report saying while it wasn't his turn, he actually got up and started talking with other people at game day and whatever, and just then he would come back to see what had happened. And that's kind of at the level at which I am right now with this game. But, and I'll talk about this more here in a little bit, that I do think that there may be deeper levels that we're not at. I'm not saying there is. I said I think there may be.
Okay.
So I like the idea of that, at least.
Well, go ahead, because German Mike is wondering about the tactical level of the game and planning ahead and everything, and and he mentions that you really don't, if you're playing with 4 players, you don't really know the board state until it gets back around to you. Hence why that guy you're talking about can walk around and go buy a lemonade and stuff from this local food chain magnate and, while it's not his turn. And then come back and look at the board and go, okay.
But again, that could be inexperience of play. It could be one of those things. But I'll get into that here in a little bit, okay? So you have anything else on the positive side of the ledger?
Yes, recovering cubes. when you use that take back cubes action.
To be able to get your colored cubes back that you've spent previously, because the black ones are one-time use,
Sure.
but the colored cubes of yours, you have to actually use
a cube.
Right, to unlock them.
It's kind of expensive, and I think it's really it's another cool aspect of that ledger mechanic, and I really like that.
And it's something you need to plan for, or else you're going to short yourself actions.
Absolutely, man.
So on the other side of the so-called ledger here, we have things that we're not super keen on.
Yes.
I'll start off. AP-prone players are definitely going to make for some serious downtime. They can. But again, that could be said for most any game.
It can be said for a lot, but I think it's because when it's your turn, you've got to look at what the board state is and decide what to do.
Because it's more tactical than not.
Because
I agree.
When it was last your turn, we were in age 3. It's come around the table, and we're in age 5 now. And there's only one other ship on the board. You know what I mean? It's like you have to, all right, well, now what am I going to do? Because I really plan to push it to age 5. Now I can't.
Absolute fair point.
Yeah.
So to play the game well, you kind of got to play the game backwards, or so I've been reading, and it makes a lot of sense to me. What I mean is that the final couple of turns is where the majority of the scoring is going to take place.
Right.
So you have to plan for that and start there and then kind of work your way backwards on how do you get to there. And that's not the most intuitive concept, and it's not always obvious as far as that. And everything stems from that. And to be honest with you, I only realized it while doing all my prep for the show. I didn't realize that during my first 2 plays of the game. So that's not, I guess it's a negative in a sense that it wasn't obvious to me. Okay. And maybe that's a positive. I don't know. But I figure I'd mention it.
Okay. I guess I didn't really feel that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So kind of to go back on what you said to where you didn't really play the ships part of the game. I mean, the name of the game is ships, and at times, if not often, you're going to find yourself without many or any ships on the board. And that just, again, with the counterintuitiveness, you know. Mm-hmm. And I've only played the game twice, hence why it's a trailer versus a feature.
Right.
But the gameplay felt a bit, I don't know, bland.
Absolutely.
It is just the best way I know to say.
Yeah. Martin's games for me are hit and miss.
Yep,
you know?
I agree.
I feel like this one's a bit of a miss for all these reasons.
Okay, so do you want to give it a rating, or are you not ready to? Since only a couple of plays.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to say it's a 4 because I think the cube ledger that I called it is really, really neat. And there's a lot of cool things happening in the game, but for me, it doesn't add up. The sum of the parts don't add up to the number that maybe I was hoping it would.
Okay. And that 4 is out of 6. So still possibly above average.
Yeah.
Okay.
In fact, my copy is already on the heavy cardboard auction shelf.
Okay.
So what about your opinion, your summary and rating? Do you have a rating?
Yeah. Well, I was fully ready to give the game a 3 rating, and honestly, to bring it with me and sell it at BGGCon. Some interesting things, but overall kind of bland, like I said. And I still might do that in the future. But during my preparation for the show, I read some things that have kind of given me pause. The main concept of the backwards design, planning for the endgame scoring bonanza and planning well for it, and the general feeling that this game might have more to offer than I first thought. However, it appears to be one of those games that's going to kind of force you to work at it to get it and to become a competent player. At least, possibly, that's the case. Some games do this and really appeal to me. We're going to talk about one here in a little bit. While others, and there are some winsome games that come to mind that fall into the absolutely no interest in working at it, like a Dutch Inner City, just did not appeal to me in the least. And it's one of those games to where you got to play it a dozen times and then it starts, unfolding before you. I'm not sure where Ships is going to fall, but I've read enough and thought enough about it over the last week to know that I'm not quite willing to write it off quite yet and sell my copy. So in the end, it's kind of a to-be-determined rating, and hopefully I get to revisit it in an upcoming episode. So It's, like I said, just enough. It's giving me pause. And that's ships.
Are those doggy paws?
All right, let's talk about some Stefan Feld goodness or not, depending on your point of view. Pitch it.
Macao. Macao is
not the bird.
No,
okay.
Or the city-state.
Okay.
Macao is a 2009 Stefan Feld release, and it's a game that's been on my shelf, your shelf, for several years, and it's seen a number of plays, but I haven't broke it out in quite a while, and then Matt wanted to play it at Extra Life, so we broke it out, and that kind of inspired, you know what, we should talk about this as a trailer. So what's going on in the game, not going to talk too deeply about it. Let's just say it's a pick up and deliver dice rolling action point system with a card draft in it. All right. Each turn, the players are going to draft a new building/person card for their tableau. You can only ever have 5 during the game. So at some point, about almost halfway through the game, unless you've been getting those cards activated from your tableau, you're going to run into a bit of a traffic jam there. And it is a Stefan Feld game, so you'll get a bit of a victory point penalty to go with that.
Of course. Punish me, Stefan.
Exactly. All the cards are going to cost a different combination of colors and quantity of cubes to activate them and get them into play and off of your tableau. But they are going to give you some special bonuses and other actions, maybe provide an exchange for other cubes. For example, turn a blue cube into a gold coin, stuff like that. Presumably, you've had a better use for that gold coin than you did for that blue cube, right? So each turn, someone's going to roll 6 differently colored dice. And those dice are going to be the pool of how many and what color of the cubes will be available. So a purple 5 means that if you select that die, you may have 5 purple cubes to use in the future.
Yeah, exactly.
What the dice do is not only drive how many and what color cube you can get, but where they go on this windrose mechanic, right? That has a 1 through 6 on it and an arrow for the current turn. So if I took a 2 red, I'm going to get 2 red cubes that I would put in space 2, which means I'm not going to get to use those cubes for 2 turns. So the interesting part of that mechanic there is the lower the die number, the less I get, but the sooner I can use it. If I'm willing to delay my gratification a little bit, I will get multiple cubes, 6, 5, however many. However, there is a pressure to always keep cubes in the very next slot, because if a turn happens and you don't have cubes, guess what? Stefan Feld gives you a little whack on the knuckles, right? A little penalty. So there's this weird pressure, really cool mechanic. So how do you use those cubes? Well, you can move on the wall, which is basically turn order. Moving up the wall sets your turn order.
But can be really important as well.
Oh, yeah. Shipping. You can spend cubes to move your ship around the various sea lanes from city to city. Goods. You can spend the cubes to collect goods from the land that your ship will then deliver. And the goods just kind of teleport to wherever your ship is. It's not like you have to go back and pick them up or anything like that.
Speedboats come out and bring
Speedboats,
them out,
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
just, helicopters. Activating cards is the other thing you can do with the cubes, right? You've drafted these cards into play. The game says, hey, you got to get these off because as more come in and you don't have room, you're going to get a penalty, so you have to spend cubes to activate these cards, which is really an important pressure in the game because that adds, like what you were saying, where the turn order on the wall can be important because this is a drafting game of cards, right? So if I'm 4th in the turn order,
you're going to get
crap card.
Yeah, you're going to get stuck with really hard to fulfill and maybe
Right.
not the best reward cards out there.
Absolutely. So victory points wins, and there's lots of ways to get the victory points. It's usually the delivering of the goods. It's the buildings offer some things. And
Point salad-y, would you say?
it's not that bad of a point salad for Feld. Like, this isn't Castles of Burgundy.
Fair enough. To
You
where
know.
you get points for spelling your name right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I think you need a computer program to track your scoring on that one. But anyway, what's cool about this game? As I mentioned, I think that the mechanic of the lower the die number, the sooner I'll get to use the cubes, but the fewer they are, is dare I say, genius.
immediate reward versus long term, and
right. versus the pressure of I need cubes now.
I put that as my number one thing.
Awesome.
It's just the win-rose mechanic in and of itself, and the way the dice play into that.
Mm-hmm.
I really enjoy that, and it kind of rolls into the. I just dig that the problems that the game forces you to solve.
Yes.
I really enjoy making lemonade out of lemons based on, quote unquote, bad die rolls.
Right.
And just having to always adjust in this game, and always, you can have an overarching plan, but you really, really are it's determined what you can do based on the dice and how you've planned by grabbing. Are you going to go for one huge move later on, or are you going to do, 1,000 little cuts as we go in fewer moves throughout, the turn of your win rows each turn?
I kind of feel like what you're talking about is something I enjoy too, how the game works against me. I feel like it's kind of sandboxy because, okay, I can move my ship anywhere I want. I can put any goods on it I have the cubes for. I can move up the wall if I want to. I have to take a building. Hopefully I'll have a purpose for the building, but I might not. Mm-hmm. I might have to just build it just to get it the hell out of there. And what that's telling me is, like, even though it's kind of sandboxy, the sandbox has these laws of physics. This is going to give you a penalty. This is going to give you a penalty. This is going to give you a penalty. So you need to move against that.
It's a quicksand box, I would think of it as. Like
quicksand?
Yeah. To where it's a sandbox. Go do what you want, but it's going to constantly...
Sucking you down.
Exactly.
Nice. I totally agree. So
I know a lot of people aren't huge fans of this, but I like the mechanic and the way the variable point buying based on the economy of the cards comes out each turn.
Yeah,
I like that. Yeah, I like the way that is determined. I don't know if I really like just the actual concept of it. I just appreciate the way it goes about doing it.
And sometimes it'll be a good deal to buy victory points, and sometimes it'll be stupid bad.
Right.
Elephant in the room, dice, random factors.
Lots and lots and lots of random in the card draws specifically.
Yeah.
Now here, I'm a fan of the way the dice rolling puzzle in the game, the puzzle that it presents you.
I am too.
Like
that
randomness in this game.
I think it's the evil genius.
I agree. However, the randomness of the card draws, not so much.
So much. There are two that you'll see.
Yes, of the 6.
Because there's 12 turns in the game, so you'll see 24 cards the whole game.
2 per turn, and then
you draw based on number of players.
Right, exactly.
So a small percentage of the cards you'll see. A larger percentage of the cards are just like, well, what turns up? Totally random.
Yeah, and totally tactical.
Totally tactical, but that means don't ignore the wall. Make sure you get the first choice, second choice.
Fair point. Again, it's point salad-y Feld. Either you like it or you don't.
Mm-hmm,
and I mean, the theme is just shite. It's just the
Is there one?
Yeah, exactly my point. We don't care, but I know some of our listeners do, so there you have it.
I think Macao is Portuguese for no theme. It's out of print. I think maybe Tasty Minstrel is our best hope at getting another print run going.
Because they're doing Luna.
They're doing some Feld, so I don't know.
And I guess they did do Aquasphere as well.
Yes.
So, graphic design-wise, the GC and the AC for gold coin and action cubes, just show a damn pic of what you mean. Like have a coin or a cube. It's just too easy to confuse them. And I feel like they tried to be clever in the way they condense the wording on the cards and everything, but just stop. Period.
One thing I like about this very brown game is that the colors aren't red and blue and green. I mean, it's brown and yellow and white, 2 shades of brown. I like that. Actually.
Muted colors. Yeah, again, that's kind of our thing, what we dig.
So, do you have any sort of rating or summary for this game?
I went back and thinking about this. I think this is only my second or third play
ever
of the game.
Okay.
So no, it's Feld. I mean, I don't dislike it.
Yeah.
I didn't put it in the auction that we just had not too long ago. So Amanda's, I think, only played it once, and that was forever ago. So it's something that I want to break out more and get a better feel for before I give it a rating.
Well, I have an opinion. I've played it many times.
Well, I have an opinion. I just don't have a rating.
Gotcha.
Go ahead.
I think it's a bit of a divisive game. The game plays you. It's too random. It's dry. It's themeless. But it's a sought-after game that actually has a bit of a price in the aftermarket. And it's ranked 7.46 on BGG. So as divisive as it is, it's got a great following. And I think it's because the dice and the win rows mechanic. I think that makes the game for me. I think that makes the game for a lot of players. That pressure of you don't know what it's going to be. I got to take this, got to do that, save for the future, got to use some now.
The adjustments that it forces you to make, right?
I've owned it and played it for a few years. It did survive the great Stefan Feld purge of 2015, where I dumped half my Feld games out. And I do enjoy it quite a bit. And again, the win rows, the dice, whatever, they suck. But hey, it's part of the genius, the necessity of that mechanic. I think Herr Feld he likes to screw you over that way. I do play the game like it's a living beast, and I don't know everything about every turn until that turn gets there. But I just need to manage that. And for this weight of game, that's completely wonderful. But these are precisely the reasons I love it, and precisely the reasons I can't play it too often. For me, playing Macao is like visiting a far-off city that you love. It's the city's a little seedy and it's filthy, but it's got some great highlights. You know what I mean?
The food is
fantastic. You don't visit the city very often, but when you do manage a visit, you thoroughly enjoy yourself. That's how I feel. And when I leave town, I've satisfied my Jones, and I know I don't require a speedy return. So, cool. For me, the game's a 5.
Okay. All right, rock on.
Once in a while.
Okay, so small doses?
Yes.
5.
Yes.
It would overstay its welcome otherwise,
if we played it too often. Yes.
Okay. All right, fair point.
Macao. Lassen Sie uns über Neue Heimat zu sprechen.
Neue Heimat, published in 2007, designed by Klaus Zock, and published by Chili Spiel, rest in peace. Player count is 2 to 5 players. And it plays about 45 minutes per game. And ideally, you're going to play 3 games of this. So you're looking at 2 to 2.5 hours. Or if you have to, just one game, about 45 minutes. Availability and cost. Well, the bad news is that Chili Spiel went out of business late 2014 or early 2015.
That is bad news.
So there's that. However, they're apparently still making copies on demand for folks. I asked Velma over at Game Surplus if she could see about getting, say, a dozen copies or so in, and she did. And they're going to be in stock hopefully sometime next week or the week following.
Yay, Velma.
So if you are interested in the game, you dig the review and want a copy, I recommend emailing her stat. The things we do for our listeners.
Games@gamesurplus.com.
There you go. They're going to go quick because this is highly out of print otherwise, or at least everyone thought it was. Early and often email. So what's going on in Neue Heimat? Neue Heimat, or New Home, is the simplest game that we have ever featured on Heavy Cardboard thus far. However, the depth to the gameplay is as wonderful as it is nasty. In Neue Heimat, players are real estate developers vying for the opportunity to build in a new housing development. Well, that's the theme at least. It's a closed economy game where each player starts with 12 million euros, or you can call it as we do. Everybody starts with $12. So in a 4-player game, that's $48 total, and that's all that will ever be in the game. Mm-hmm. Players are going to use that money, taking sequential turns, auctioning off one of the game's items. House floors, represented by a 6-sided die, ranging in value from 1 to 6. Roofs, ranging from 0 or blanks to 6s. Special building permits, the mayor, and the cancel block. On a player's turn, they'll choose one of the items I just mentioned and put it up for auction. It's a once-around auction, and the auctioneer has last licks. They either accept the highest bid or match it. They can either accept the highest bid and get paid that amount, or match it and pay the player the amount of that highest bid.
Right.
In addition to auctioning an item, they can also go south and embezzle $1 each turn.
Oh, yeah.
Doing this removes $1 from the game and just counts as 1 victory point for the player at the end of the game. The colored floor cubes are the meat and potatoes of the game and the main way you're going to manipulate relative scoring. Mm-hmm. There are 36 potential values, 1 through 6 across 6 colors, but only 24 are used in each game, resulting in a different set of color and number combinations each time the game's played. To add further variation, the order in which the cubes are placed matters. There are only 6 cubes on either end because there's 3 rows of 8 that are available for auction at any given time. The winner of the floor auction is allowed to place a cube on the board spot of their choice with a couple restrictions on where they can put it. Floors can only be placed on top of previously placed floors if their value is lower than that of the existing floor, and floors may also be placed adjacent to the street or adjacent to another cube that makes it closest to the street,
right,
if that makes sense.
Next available spot.
There you go.
Outward from the street.
Cubes placed in fence spaces are ranches, so they can't have another cube placed on top of them. If you're the first person to place a cube of a particular color, you get that color's owner cube, and that determines who's going to score for what color in a given round. The roof half spheres are the other major item that's going to get bid on. At the beginning of the game, each of the half spheres, or roofs, is in a bag, and when you put one up for auction, you draw it out of the bag and auction off the one that you flipped over. Most of these roofs have numbers on them. The ones without numbers have a special impact on the game, depending on whether you play with the regular rules or publisher-approved variant or whatnot. In the base rules, if you flip over or if you pull a blank out of the bag, your turn ends and you toss it out of the game. It's widely considered to be probably the biggest negative to the game, the biggest detriment, as it turns a tight, low-luck game into a tight, high-luck game.
It's childish.
The publisher-approved variant is to simply have it so the blank roofs are worth 0 points, other than causing the player to effectively lose a turn. After a player wins an auction for a roof, they place it on a stack of floors of their choice. This increases, unless you're playing with the 0 roofs, the point value of the building and is one of the conditions for successfully finishing a row. Now, building permits have a big impact on how many buildings are going to score and how the game ends. Each one allows you to either extend a row by a number of spots, 1, 2, or 3, depending on which of the special cubes you use, or reduce it by the exact same size, with the only limit that you can't change the size of a row such that building is no longer legal, meaning you can't negate a building that's already been built. Decrease row sizes increase the odds that the game will end based on finished rows. Increase row sizes increases the odds that the game will end based on placed roofs. If all the rows are increased in size, it's possible that 2 or even all 3 of the rows will be incomplete at game end and will score negative for everybody in it.
Yeah.
Finally,
I love when that happens.
Next to last, the cancel cube will remove 1 building permit. The player winning the auction for the cancel cube also has the ability to just throw it out of the game and not cancel, cancel itself basically, and just remove it from the game.
But altogether, you're changing the shape of the playing area too. It's really pretty neat.
The game ends when 2 rows of the housing development are complete, which means that each house in that row has at least 1 floor and 1 roof on it. Each house in a completed row is going to score positive points equal to the cumulative amount of the pips on each floor, or again, each die, plus the value of its roof. If the mayor was placed in a row, double each house's value.
Up or down.
The houses in the row or rows that are incomplete will score the exact same way, except negative for the house owner. Add up all the scores, negative and positive, add in any embezzled funds that you have, and you have the winner. Now, if you're only playing 1 game, that's it.
Right.
However, if you plan on playing multiple rounds of this, and we recommend that you do, you score it up and then reset the game. But you do not redistribute the cash.
Right.
Have fun. All right, first off, let's review the scalability.
Cool.
I've played it 8 times thus far, and have played it at 3, 4, and 5 players. Auction games, in my experience, really aren't so hot 2-player, so
Right.
I've avoided playing this as such. However, I have read that it actually plays pretty well as a 2-player game, which surprises me, but I just haven't experienced it.
Yeah.
But I think I will.
I actually don't know how many times I've played it.
Okay.
There's been quite a gulf for my recent plays and the past plays, and I don't know, maybe only 5 times or something
Okay.
like that. And I do know that this past Saturday was the first time I've played it with 5.
Cool. Rock on. So scalability. The more players, the more chaotic the game can be, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, I don't think.
Right.
I personally have enjoyed it across all 3 player counts that I've tried, 3, 4, and 5, and I feel like I can recommend the game being played at all 3 of those player counts.
I think 2, no interest.
Okay.
3, sure. 4, absolutely. 5, no noobs. Unless we're teaching.
Okay, fair enough. All right, on to the cardboard. So the components and graphic design.
Cardboard? There's very little in this.
Yeah,
game,
right,
so.
because it's really solid, chunky, big wooden bits for everything in the game. Clear,
Chunks of wood and garish colors.
yeah, which are good because they stand out and makes it
Absolutely.
really easy
Yeah,
and just
absolutely.
crystal clear to tell what's what. The board, where you place the houses, I feel like the thing that came to mind when I was prepping for this was it kind of has a splatter feel to the artwork. Sort of a kitschy, simple art, but completely functional and easy to use. And to be honest with you, there's just not a lot in the game to screw up graphic design wise. It's just,
Yeah, fair.
it's really simple.
No.
I mean, it's a bunch of dice and
Squares
some-
with some numbers.
right.
Yeah.
That's it.
And half circles with some numbers.
Right. Or, I mean, if you were to make your own copy, you could use discs with
did.
numbers. Right.
Yeah.
So, as far as the rulebook and clarity and quality, every copy I've seen of this, I've only seen the rules are in German. The downloadable English rules, though, are easy to read, and honestly, there's only 5 small pages to read,
Yeah.
so really easy peasy and just really clear.
Simple
really
game,
easy.
too.
Yeah.
So let me ask, what makes this game?
I struggled with this,
Yeah?
but in the end, I think it's medium weight.
Yeah.
I feel like it has a lot of depth and a lot of really hard stuff,
Yeah.
but it looks like a stupid simple game.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's enough there to bring it into the medium realm. What do you say?
I agree that it's medium, but I think that when you're playing with everyone experienced, that it's the heavy end of medium because you can really get into like having noobs at the table, which is important because they need to learn the game.
Because you want to evangelize about
Reduces the, you know what I mean? Like lessens the weight.
I couldn't have said it better, and I hadn't thought of that, but I think you summed it up perfectly on that. Whether it's 3, 4, or 5 players, if they're all experienced players,
Right.
oh, game on, dude.
If we all came with our guns, look out.
Yeah. All right, so let's start off with complexity. You know, whether it's rules complexity or mechanical complexity.
Okay, there's 0.
Yeah. It's really simple. Again, this is the simplest game that we featured. I just ran through. Basically, I think you could play the game. We try not to teach the game when we're going through our kind of overview.
It'll help us win when we don't teach.
But I feel like you could play the game just from listening to that. After one orbit of the auctions, you're going to get the game mechanically, and there's just nothing here that gets in a player's way rules wise.
Tell me what your thoughts are on like just planning in the game. Is there any planning?
There is,
Because I don't feel like it's like planning of the type that of most of the games we cover as our feature.
Okay, keep going with that. Go ahead. What?
I feel like the planning is mainly in the front. Like, what colors of cubes are in the distribution, and what are their numbers, and how might I use them? Which ones am I interested in acquiring?
You're saying once everything's set up, and
Right.
you kind of look at what's available out
Right.
there, and kind of plan your
Which
strategy
ones
there.
limit scope of risk and of scoring. And then you make a plan and you try to attack that plan, and then you'll have to adapt to being outbid or various things or what
Stabbed
things
in
am
the
I
back
going
and all
right
that, right,
and
yeah.
a lot of that depends on where they are in in the availability, like, you can only take the first cubes on the ends, right? So if the cubes you're after are in the middle, it's going to be your turn. You have to put something up for auction. So, like, what am I going to auction and how to cover my track? I mean, I think all the planning's like up front, and then it's like, boom, what's happening? Every turn is like, what's going on now? What's going on now? What's going on now?
Completely agree. Yep.
Okay.
So, random and luck factors, which we're going to get into this way more throughout the review.
Yeah, especially on that roof draw thing.
But I'm just going to bring up the different things that are in here. The only randomness in the game is in the initial setup of what floors are available and the drawing of the roofs. Again, there's that designer-approved variant that allows the placement of the zero-value roofs, but we'll get into that here in a little bit.
The cool thing about the random of the cubes is you pull them out, there they are, that's what they are. Everyone can see it. It will not change during the game. It's only really variable setup.
Correct.
More so than random, I think. Whereas the roof draw, by the legitimate rules of the game, is purely like, what am I pulling out of the bag now?
Right. Assuming that the variant is used, in my opinion, this contributes to the weight of the game. As written, It detracts from the weight, as the loss of one's turn just doesn't quite fit with what the game's trying to do.
Dude, it is just a childish, antiquated mechanic for a game that should be taken fairly seriously.
Yeah. Even though it doesn't necessarily look at it at a glance. Right. So, game length. I feel like the game just plays quickly, and each decision can be agonizing, but it adds 0 to the weight of the game.
I agree.
So,
I do have a general weight thing that didn't really fit in. It was like the weight I see from turn to turn to turn is the valuation of a cube. Like, person A, whoever that is, me or you or some other player at the table, puts up this red 3 for bid. What the hell is that thing worth to each end? Like, that, how much is that worth to Edward? How much is that worth to Paul Chad? How much is that? You know what I mean? It's like every cube's valuation is where I think the AP, if you will, the weight of that decision is, because it's different.
Because it's different to every person. And every item that comes up for bid, you have to make that evaluation for every single person.
How bad is it going to hurt if I don't win that cube?
And if I do win it, do I have a purpose of winning it?
Right. Why am I bidding on this?
Exactly. Right.
Right. Maybe I'm bidding on it just because I can't let somebody have it for 2.
Right.
That valuation stuff is tough.
Agreed.
So getting it?
I think fairly quickly. You're going to understand the mechanics near instantly, very early, and you're going to have a whole lot of aha moments in your first handful of games, to be honest, as players, as you see new strategies and things you hadn't even thought of.
Aha and, oh. Thanks.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, so let's start listing off the things, and there are many that make this enjoyable, and why.
Okay, first thing for me, simple rules, really simple. The play is where your brain gets bent, and the valuation of a block, often its placement is very simple, but the valuation of it is rarely simple.
Agreed. Such a simple, innocent-looking game.
Very.
I love that it hides.
Looks childlike.
It hides its brutality in plain sight.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Exactly. And much like some winsome games, I know, shocking that I'm a fan here, beginners usually fail to grasp the subtleties and feel it's swingy and out of their control and just totally random.
Yeah.
But it's really not. It's the players manipulating the other players.
Yeah, it's like understanding of who does this block benefit the most? Who's auctioning it? Who does it benefit the most? Do I have, depending on if you're playing with open money or whatever, do I have a general feel or knowledge of how much cash is available and things like that? And again, as we mentioned earlier, where do I put this if I win it? Where is Fred going to put it if he wins it? How does that hurt me?
Can I risk not winning this and allowing and not having to take the risk of bidding on it and bidding someone up, that type thing?
Yeah.
Can I risk somebody choosing where to place it, because that can just make or break at times, and there might be times to where I don't care what the cost is. I got to break the bank to be able to get this placement or to win this auction for whatever it is, because it's so absolutely vital at this moment that I do this.
Someone might make a mistake even, like grab a cube that another player that belongs to another player thinking they saw something but they really didn't, and they end up getting stuck with it, and it's just beneficial to me for them placing my cube, for example.
There are times, and I've been guilty of this a number of times, to where there's only really one place it can go.
Right.
So why are you bidding on it, you dummy? Stop doing that.
Stop.
Okay, the components. It looks cool on the table, and it just doesn't look like anything else.
Yeah.
It does have a childlike kind of building block kind of mentality.
Bright red and bright green and stupid red domes. It looks like a Fisher-Price game.
It really does. I mean, it just looks just childlike, but oh my, just completely not.
That child's a killer.
Every decision feels like a workout. I mean, there is no dismissing anything out of hand. There are no, or very, very, very few non-decisions in this game.
You got to keep board state in mind. Unlike ships, you can't walk away and come back.
Yeah, right. Ever-changing alliances and overlapping incentives come and go, and sometimes in subsequent auctions, like, okay, you and I are I guess in a roundabout way aligned for this one auction, but the very next one, it might be completely, tables have turned.
Absolutely. We're going to talk more about this, but like in that last game, DJ Kyle and I had a lot of common ground in what we put up for bid and stuff.
Right.
The distribution of the initial blocks, right? So here's these blocks and these rows, which numbers, which colors, who's on the ends, how deep is that one into the game?
As far as buried in the stack, right?
No one's going to get to that till like the middle of the game. Those kind of things. The spread of the colors and the numbers, the best. That's just a fabulous variation from game to game to game. Because I mean, that's really, like we mentioned earlier, where I feel like a lot of the planning is, and those cubes, man, that's the engine. And it's never the same.
We could play two identical games, have the same people and going for the same strategies, but change the setup of those cubes, and it completely changes
in one
the
game. 2 red cubes might come out. In another, 6 red cubes.
And it completely changes the game.
Absolutely. I really, really like that.
It's a closed economy. If folks are embezzling a lot, it makes for a much more austere economy, and you have to adjust for just less money in the game.
Right, because I can make money leave the game, but money never comes into the game.
Yep.
Yeah, that's very cool. Embezzlement is awesome.
I love that going after 0 colors, in other words, having control of no colors, is a legit, viable strategy. It's not easy, but it's viable.
So yeah, in our last game that we played Saturday, it was a 5-player game. DJ Kyle and I never won a color, so we own no buildings. So our goal was make you guys go negative and us go positive, and our only chance of positive was by embezzling. We came exceedingly close, I feel.
It came down to the final auction, whether or not you or Sweater Mike was going to win it.
And he had a little more money, and that was the tipping point right there where he could place the roof where he wanted to end the game instead of me being able to place it where I wanted to end the game.
And had you done that, it would have come down to between you and Kyle, because you guys wouldn't have had negative points, and me, Dave, and Sweater Mike would have would have finished the game.
And because he got 1 turn more than me, the way the auctions all worked out, he had $1 more embezzled than me, so he would have won.
Yeah,
by a point.
Which is,
and that one row that was going to go negative, that was going to hurt big.
A lot,
because that was like, I think that was 8 long. Was it the 5 and 3 more?
Yeah,
it was 8 long. Yeah,
as opposed to it was just brutal. So, kind of to go on to that, I love where it's possible everyone finishes with a negative score, or to put it another way, scoring 0 points very well might be a successful winning score.
Absolutely it is. And I think that, especially with experienced players, the result, like in our 5-player game, even though not everybody at the table was an experienced player, the result of the games are really not known until at least close to the end if people are playing well. If not The end. Like that game. We did not know who was going to win until the last roof got placed.
Because it was either going to be between you and Kyle or
you,
me, Mike, and Dave.
Yes.
It was almost like there were two sides to this between the 5 players.
And I like that, where you just don't know what... hey, I'm doing really good, but that could change. Hey, I'm doing really bad, but that could change.
Yep. So a sentence I read during my prep kind of sums up one of the biggest keys to the game. Quote, determining the right amount to bid can be particularly challenging, as it frequently is not about how much absolute money that you're bidding, but the relative position that a particular bid will establish between you and the other players and the power that that money will grant.
Right.
End quote. That's just, I mean, there just aren't a ton of games out there that you have to take that into consideration. That's wonderful. But again, that's kind of an example of what a closed economy will the type of thinking that it's going to force you into.
In our games, we usually have a lot of trash talking during those auctions and misinformation and lying and laughing and...
I don't lie, I bluff.
Anyway, I think that's pretty cool because you're selling something.
Right. Yeah, well,
it could stink.
Right. When you're playing multiple rounds as the game was intended, not redistributing the money between rounds provides a lot more maneuverability and planning long game strategy. Like you can plan on not getting any ownership cubes for the first game and kind of punt on the first game because the scoring in the game is there's a number of different ways you can do it. You can either do it by total score, you can do it by
winning rounds,
which is
what I like,
etc. But in this, you can punt on a round and then try and suck up as much of that money that's in the game as possible, and all of a sudden people are broke going into the second round, and now you can kind of bid and dictate actions for that whole next round. And I think that the game blossoms when you play multiple rounds, as opposed to it kind of suffers a little if you're just playing one single individual round.
I think a scoring variant that might be cool is first place gets, I'm just making this up because I'm just making this up. First place gets 15 points, second place gets 10, third place gets 5, anything else, screw you. And then you play multiple rounds and you use those points as who wins. So it's like, how good can you play during the entire match, for example? Because points are going to be just wild from match to match to match.
One other way that you could do it is if a player's won a round of the 3 rounds, they're in contention to win. Whether somebody's won 2, it doesn't matter. Then it goes the total number of points. You could do it numerous different ways on this.
Hey, tactile element, placing the blocks, dig it.
Yeah.
Hey, drawing things out of the bag, not so much. More on that later.
Choosing what to auction and when to auction it is always important. Choosing something that's going to go for a high price helps your liquidity and hurts the winning bidder. But then again, maybe you're willing to overpay because you can't risk leaving the choice to where to place a piece. It's just too vital, maybe. Or you bluff at it. If it's not your auction, you bid high, hoping someone...
Squeeze a couple more bucks,
there you
maybe.
go. Or
hopefully you don't get it dropped on you.
Right. Or just force them to pay just that little bit extra.
Depending on the money rules you're playing with, just be aware of cash in the game. The permits, the expansion and the contraction of the board, of the game space. Yeah, pretty darn cool.
I dig it. And it just adds one more layer of
yeah.
There's something delicious about not having any colors in which you can score, yet manipulating the auction so that all 3 rows score negative points. And since you don't own any of those colors of floors, you don't score negative, and you can win simply by not scoring negative. Just, again, that's just, dude, that is sweet. I dig that.
The scoring in this game is definitely brilliant.
All right, so I had a little fun with this.
Okay.
And if y'all want to have some fun, go read the comments left for the game on BGG. Underneath the rating, the comments, I had a blast with this. Here are a few of my favorite quotes. I got like 5 or 6 of them, but it's worth it. I don't think I've played another game with quite as much regular and expected screwage is Neue Heimat.
Yeah.
First thing when I hear that, I think of is diplomacy. Somewhat similar, maybe.
Yeah.
Overall, it felt like Keynesian math exercise further developed by Winsome. Okay, all right. This is the most cruel and twisted auction game I've ever encountered. You can really mess with people's plans, buildings, and scores. It's just fragile all around. When you have several skilled players, there's a multitude of possibilities to screw and get screwed. The auctions are just tense.
Yes.
Lovably brutal auction game. Your stuff can be used against you. Others' stuff can be used against them. Here we go. Brutal auction game. Knife's edge navigation between the treasure isles of shared interest and pitiless shoals of fragile investments. I swear you wrote this. Staying solvent through judicious auction choices in order to claim and protect your own stakes and responding properly to mutable prospects and valuations is a difficult, multi-layered challenge. In my first game, I was absolutely crushed, and I want more. And finally, deep, brutal, and intense. I like it more each time I play it.
Right on. Hey, last thing for me, the mayor. And when you place him, where you place him, how he doubles the value of a row.
Positive or negative.
Just like the permit cubes and the expansion of the contraction of the area, that's the expansion of the contraction of the scoring. And, yeah, that can be a really critical auction for the mayor at times.
Agreed. Two last things for me. There are lots of variants to reduce the randomness in the game, which we're going to talk about here when we get to the other side of the coin here.
Absolutely.
And it's the only game in which I happily play with paper money.
Agreed. All right. What things, are there any that turn us off about the game? Not like as much?
I will say that there are things out there that some people may not like, not necessarily me. How's
something
that?
I don't like.
Right.
Yeah.
So it can be a brutal game, and so you may have to choose with whom you break this game out with.
Not grandma.
Choose carefully.
Right.
All right. Some players might not be too keen on this. Much like some winsome games, beginners usually fail to grasp the subtleties and feel it's just that swingy, out of control. It's not going to be for everyone. So there's that. The game shines most when you play multiple rounds in a single game. Like I said earlier, the game you kind of lose something when you only play a single round.
Sure.
The game is perfectly enjoyable as a single round, but
Absolutely.
it is amazeballs.
Treat it like a match.
Yeah,
Yeah.
First of three
Right.
type thing. Yeah. All right, so go ahead. Let's
All
talk
right.
about the one thing
Dude,
that
random roof draw, it just kills me. It's a stupid blemish on an otherwise incredible game, but it's easily remedied, right? So, three things. Just get rid of them. Throw the blanks out. That'd be a good start. You don't use them anyway in the original rules. Now, but the other thing is treat the blank roofs as zeros, but just end after 12 or drawn, because you don't want to mess with making not owning a color a viable strategy. And if you had more than 12 roofs, you would cut into that. And then the one I think I really like is just draw 12 roof tiles, treat zeros as zeros, put them face up in 2-3 rows, just treat them like the cubes.
Okay. I got one more idea on this. This is me just kind of pulling this out during reading and stuff. It popped in my head. Tell me what you think.
Okay.
Take out 3 of the zeros. Okay, so there's
leave
2
2
of
left.
everything.
Right.
Okay. The zeros are auctioned as zeros. But instead of being zero value, they cancel the whole stack that they're placed on.
Yeah.
Too swingy, you think?
I don't know. It might be interesting as
Okay.
as a variant, but
Okay.
I think that cancels all the hard work of getting cubes in stacks.
Fair point.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it was the idea.
Right,
it just,
right.
Popped
Yeah,
in my head.
yeah.
In my opinion, if you're listening to this, the way you need to play it is leave the bag draw. Fine, I'm okay with it. Take 3 of the blanks out and use the zeros as 0 point, and that removes
you don't even have to take any out. Just treat them as zeros. But whatever you do, 12 roofs.
Yes.
That's all you want.
Yep, that and get rid of the you lose a turn thing
that's-
if you draw a 0.
That's just ridiculous.
Yep. So that kind of goes on to my last thing. There are a ton of variants out there which having variants kind of turns some people off. Oh, I just want to play the game as it's written. You can't do that.
Do it, but I'm not.
Right. It ruins what is an absolutely amazing game if you do it. So just there you go. All right, so we have a couple questions from the guild that we may not have touched on directly. So Here we go. First question. How many fist fights have broken out because of Neue Heimat so far?
17. No, 0.
Nah, none yet. But there has been lots of cussing at each other.
Oh yeah.
So nothing more than just verbal jabs and a lot of MFs out at the table,
which is all awesome.
Yes, absolutely.
How's this game play with 2?
I don't know, but I've read it plays well. But again, it's an auction game, so I'm hesitant.
Ask low player count.
There you go. Yeah, ask Travis and company.
Does this game any go with 5?
I think it is.
You know, possibility is one player could have no color, but heck, in our last game, 2 players had no colors,
and it was viable. I think
it totally is.
The person who asked said, it could have been because they were new and beginners. I think that's exactly what the case was.
I think you should try to get a color, though.
I think,
and I think 4 is the sweet spot.
I'm not willing to necessarily agree nor disagree with that.
Sure.
But I think it plays well 3 through 5.
Cool.
Okay.
So why don't you bring the summary home, or do you want me to go first?
No, I'll do it,
okay.
But we'll do the ratings afterwards.
Yes, sir. Summary, rating.
I gotta say, when I stumbled upon this game on BGG a couple years ago, I completely dismissed it out of hand due to its childish-looking components. I had no idea that it would later go on to become one of my all-time favorite games. That's not to say that I'm terribly good at it, just that I simply adore the twists and turns that the game provides me and the other players. A knife fight in a phone booth is one apt description. Yes, some variants are required to make the game a better version of itself, but even so, it's hard for me to put a whole lot of games above this one. I keep saying that I don't like abstract games, yet Mr. Zoc has 2 of my all-time favorite games, both of which are complete and total abstracts.
Oh, Klaus.
Who'd have thunk it, huh?
Yeah. For me, I don't consider this a heavy game. I do consider it a medium game. And again, heavier than that if all the players around the table have their heads on straight about what's going on in the game. I love auctions. These are brutal auctions. They're cloaked in extortion. And I really, really love that. I think the tactical situation from bid to bid to bid is very, very critical, and there's a large enough degree of variance that gives the game actual weight and depth in its play. I am terrible at this game, but I freaking love it. I made my own copy, and I'm still going to ask Velma to send me one of the ones she gets in.
So maybe it's only 11 copies. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
All right, so for ratings, we rate 1 to 6. 1, light it on fire. 6, Hall of Fame, and everywhere in between.
There's a lot of wood in this one. It would burn real nice.
It would. It absolutely would, but I would kill you.
Yeah, I would never burn this.
All right, so you first.
5. This is a terrific, great game. Get it.
For me, it's a 6. This is my all-time favorite auction game. Many folks use modern art as the model for auction games, but for me, I would choose this every day and twice on Sunday. I simply never, ever tire of playing Neue Heimat. And for me, that makes this an absolute Hall of Fame game. And again, it's Neue Heimat. As we wrap up the show here, there were a couple of questions that didn't really pertain to anything in particular, any of the games that we were talking about. Just so we figured we'd hit on
general questions.
So first off, I have a very strong desire to get all the expansions, promos, etc. for a game. I know that this isn't always logical. However, I remember from the container episode that you thought the expansion really added to the game. Now that I have the Speicher stat, a Feld favorite of ours,
nice,
I see the expansion as quite expensive. As I consider it, I'm curious about your opinions on expansions for games in general, as well as the ones you think would add a lot to the games, ideally the ones you've reviewed already.
Sure. So I think that, for me, tell me what you think, but in general, expansions are not something that's really, really sought after by me. For certain games, they are, but a lot of the games that we cover with heavy cardboard really don't, I don't know, lend themselves to expansions.
Exactly. There are exceptions, Container,
sure,
and some others,
Agricola,
which we'll talk about here in a minute.
Do you feel the same?
I'm a completionist at heart, and
sure.
I've worked really hard to break myself of that. And so
keep trying.
I do agree. I do agree that for the most part, it's the exception as opposed to the rule that the games that we like and the games that we feature a lot of the time just don't lend themselves. So yes, I agree. For me, I'm only getting an expansion in one of two instances. One, it's a game that I really, really dig and I just want more of it, whatever it is. Secondly, and you could probably speak really well to this, Magnum Sol Maria, is if there's an expansion out there that I see for a game that I want and I find it for a good price, I'll probably snatch it up just on principle, which is
like I did.
Which I just did for the Kai-Vai expansion, even though I don't have the game yet, but I went ahead because I got it for a good price.
Cool.
So as a general rule, those are the two reasons I'm going to get an expansion nowadays.
So let's toss a couple back and forth here. So the questioner asked about Container, and we said that was important. And Agricola, Farmers of the Moor, we talked about that one.
Hold on real quick.
Okay.
Regarding Container, there are two aspects of the expansion, because it's very modular, that we like. The gold, which is an extra resource, and the player loans. But I'll be honest, the player loans, you don't need the expansion for that. Just, do pieces of paper, and we're doing player loans. So when we say it adds a lot, yes, but I wouldn't say it's vital, especially for the price that it's commanding.
Oh, yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Okay.
It does add, though.
Yes. Farmers
of the Moor, we talked about that in the Agricola episode.
I've yet to play a game of Agricola without it.
Just get it. Now, the writer asked about Speicherstadt, and I think that this expansion is
divisive.
Yes, it is. It is, because I play it. I have it. I've played with it. I enjoy it. But some people really don't like it because it muddies up the simplicity and elegance that are the auctions in Speicherstadt. It does give you one more meeple, but it gives you places to put more meeples, and so it is kind of it's a mixed bag. I really, really, really dig the additional cards and the metal money.
I was just going to say, the metal money is cool, but you don't need to spend that much money for freaking metal money.
No, and in fact, from spielmaterial.de, you can just get the metal money. They sell it as an item. And so it's a try at first, I think, for Kai Speicher.
I completely agree, because in my opinion, it's completely unnecessary. I think the Speicherstadt is wonderful for what it is, and it's almost like how the Roll Through the Ages had that expansion, and it just made it more than it should be.
Yeah.
It breaks what it does.
For me, it would be perfect if I could have those cards, but not the additional auction spot.
Okay, all right. So, one that I recently sold, but I feel is mandatory for it, Cuba with the El Presidente expansion. Yeah. Absolutely, if you're going to get Cuba, get it with the El Presidente expansion.
I think it makes a mediocre game 5% less mediocre.
I think it's more than that, but I don't think it's necessarily a great game with or without.
My wife made me keep Cuba and El Presidente in our collection. So
I didn't have that problem. But that said, it does make it a better game.
Viticulture in Tuscany.
Absolutely.
No brainer.
Hands down.
Do it.
Yes, the end. Puerto Rico, I guess there's a Nobles and Buildings expansion. I'll be honest, I have the limited edition, so I've never played it without. I don't know.
I have. I think it's a good one. It's one to get. And the last one, Village Inn, Village Port. Don't even think about it. At least with Village Port, get it.
I agree.
This is one that actually changes the game. It removes an existing element of the game, and
which was a weaker aspect of the game. I feel
to some, sure.
So I say Village Port, yes. Village Inn, take it or leave
Village Inn adds to the game. Village Port changes the game, and Village Port's, I think, really cool.
Okay, fair.
So here's another one.
All right.
I remember Feld games used to be all about planning ahead, like the effects of your actions this turn were more important for future turns. Year of the Dragon, 2007, Macao, 2009, Speicherstadt, 2010 come to his mind. Then point buffet style happened, and I started to care less for his games. Could this explain why some people love and hate Feld? Is there an old Feld and new Feld?
Well, okay, because I kind of struggled with this question a bit, and I'm kind of half turning around here and looking at my Felds. So let's see. The ones that I still own: Strasbourg, Aquasphere, Bora Bora, Macao, Castles of Burgundy, and Trajan. I would say that, and I don't own the Speicherstadt just because I haven't found it for a good price, but I will.
I own Speicherstadt and Kai Speicher and got rid of Aquasphere. Other than that, our collections are the same.
Okay.
I do have Amerigo, again, because the wife refused to let me.
We don't talk about that.
I would turn it into a boat anchor.
Aquasphere, I've only played once, so I don't really have an opinion on that one. But on the others,
I sold it.
Castles of Burgundy and Trajan and Macau.
Is there an old Feld and a new Feld? See, I don't think there is. I mean, Feld has just been up and down. I think he follows his muse, really. Whatever, all of his games are going to have some punishment element and stuff like that for the most part. But I think he really just follows his muse about what is in his mind right now and see those designs come to life. Because there are games I like across his catalog, skipping games in that catalog. For me, there's not an old and there's not a new. I just sold half my Felds. It's just and I don't know if there's anything that really had planning ahead.
I would compare Feld in this one respect to Martin Wallace. Some of his old stuff I can't stand. Some of his new stuff I can't stand. But there are some old, some new that I really enjoy.
Good corollary.
So I feel like it's just in a certain catalog. Same could go for any, like Uwe Rosenberg. Same goes for that. So I don't necessarily think there's a delineation between newer point salad-y Feld and older that isn't so much. It's just some we like, some we don't.
Yep.
The end.
Right on. All right, on our way out, remind everybody how to get in touch with Heavy Cardboard.
Well, first off, come to BGGCon and meet me and say hi and BS with me. That'd be great. I'll be the guy with the huge elephant on my head. No, I'm kidding. I'm not going to wear that.
Bring the elephant?
I'll bring it. I don't know if I'm going to wear it. Anyway, Twitter, @HeavyCardboard. Again, it's going to be really busy the next few days. Facebook, Heavy Cardboard. Email us. God, we love getting emails from you guys and gals, so please email us. Contact @HeavyCardboard.com. The website, HeavyCardboard.com. The BGG Guild, number 2044. Come join the conversation. And last but not least, a final reminder, and not begging, but big request. Leave us more iTunes reviews. Please, get us on that front page. That would be huge. That'd just be damn cool, damn it.
Yeah. Thank you again to Game Surplus for their sponsorship of Heavy Cardboard. Check out their excellent inventory of games. A lot of imports, hard to find games, home of great games at great prices. Drop Velma and Amos a note at gamesurplus.com. Check out their site, www.gamesurplus.com, and tell them that Heavy Cardboard sent you.
And don't forget, Neue Heimat, send emails if you want a copy. Probably the first 10, 11, 12 copies, whatever. Be quick. Right on. And with that, hope to see y'all at BGGCon, provided this blizzard that's cutting out the power periodically while we're recording makes it to where we can fly out there tomorrow.
Right. That's right.
And hope to meet a bunch of y'all and see a lot that I met last time. And other than that, catch y'all in a couple weeks.
Good night, guys. Safe travel, Edward.
Thanks.